Alright fellas, so what we're looking at here is a predefined spreadsheet where I enter some data. I already enter some data inside here, right? Right now, we don't have anything but actual data. So if I click on a particular cell, let's type Bob man. Alright, cool. If I click on a particular cell, you go see that how is actual text data that I entered. As you see, I entered data for Bob man. That's a real weird name. Let me just change the name again. Bob Williams. B-O-B. Oh, let's click on the cell again. I'm not sure you can edit it from over here, from the formula bar also. Should be able to. I can't click on the formula bar. Alright, so one of the skills I want to show is that you can actually edit the data in the formula by itself. So if I zoom here, like if I have the cell B4 selected, I could change the data right up in the formula bar here. I could call it Bob Williams. I-A-M-S. Alright, so you get the idea. Right now, all I have is actual data here, right? What I want to do is I want to make a sort of a mark sheet that a teacher could use. So you want to get the total marks for each student and probably the maximum and minimum marks. And we're going to go ahead and do these things. So the first skill I'm going to demonstrate is how to find the sum of marks, right? Now there are two ways to do this. I will show both ways, right? So the first way is to insert a formula in the place where we want the result to show. So basically, anytime you want to use a formula, you insert the formula into the cell position that you would like the data to be shown. And I'm going to go ahead and do that without much explanation. I'm just going to type equal sign. Oh man. Alright, so I type equal sign. And notice I'm going to take my mouse and click on the different items. I'm going to click on this cell because I want 14 to be added, so that's C4. I'm going to type plus, then 88, type plus, then 99, type plus, and 65. You know, and I would see C4 plus D4 plus E4 plus F4. And when I press enter on my keyboard, I would see that the value 266 is displayed to me. Alright. I would like for you to go ahead and do that for me right now. I'll pause for a little bit. Just repeat that. I didn't hear what you say.
You can just do it back. Like. Okay,
no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the cell and delete it. So I know that my cell has been empty. So when I want to enter the data, I'll make sure the cell that I want the data to go into is selected. And I'm going to type straight on my keyboard. Equal sign first. So that's important. All formulas is actually start with an equal sign. I was going to say that for later. Equal sign. And then what I'm doing, I'm using my mouse to click on the different items I'd like to be added. So I'm going to click on 14, then type plus on my keyboard. 88, which is really cell D4, type plus on my keyboard. I could actually, because I know 99 is stored in cell E4, I'm going to type E4. And I would see that 99 is also selected. And for art, I'm going to type F4 plus F4. And after I finish doing that, you know, I can click outside the cell, or I can press enter on my keyboard. I already pressed enter on my keyboard in the previous demonstration, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the cell, on another cell outside. And when I do that, I will see that the data has been automatically added up for me. I'm just going to pause for a few seconds so you can get that done. Alright students, one thing I want to reiterate about this, first of all, of course, we select the cell where we want the formula to go, and you can notice that even though I have clicked on the cell that contains 266, which is really cell G4, if I look at the formula bar, I can actually see the formula up here. I can see the formulas denoted by this syntax. All formulas actually start with an equal sign with the exception of a few. All formulas start with the equal sign, and then you just write the formula where you would like to write. In this case, we wanted to add cell C4 plus D4 plus E4 plus F4. Notice that when I select the cell and I click on the formula bar, I get to see the data that was used in the formula. It's color coded and highlighted for me. Alright, so that is one important thing to note. So that is an example of a formula. I'm going to show a next skill now. I'm going to move forward. So Most of the time when you have the cell selected like this and you edit any formula and you click somewhere else, it's kind of like sometimes you can end up editing the formula in a way that you don't want to. Like, let me just show that. So like how I write here, and I make, let me see, I make a mistake, can click over there. Oh, my bad. I can't seem to reproduce that problem that I used to face before. I guess I'll just leave that out for now. So we have the formula 266 over here. I just want you to practice this other skill for me. If you hold Control and you press tilde on your keyboard, that's the key that is left of the number 1. You know, it's that kind of reverse apostrophe and then a tilde. So if you hold Control and you press tilde, you get a different view. Let me just show this. You get the formula view. It didn't change what happened, what we already typed into the spreadsheet, but if you ever want to see all the formulas, you can press Control and tilde and you'll be able to do that. So practice that skill for me now. Press Control and tilde, verify that you can see the formula. And after a few moments, press Control tilde again, and you'll get back to this point where you actually see the data being displayed. Another way to view that would be, I think it's from the view. My bad. View formulas. I don't know where to move it by. I actually only know the oh, sorry, it's not showing on my screen. Let me make it a little bit smaller. To view that, you would go on formulas. That I click over here and then choose show formulas. So it's the same as pressing Control tilde on your keyboard. I'm just going to take it off now. Alright, so let us continue. Now, to add up for the rest of the people, you might feel compelled to go ahead and type that, but it is useful to use the copy and paste function, or in this case, the fill function. So I want to practice another skill with all your fellows, right? The first thing we're going to do is the copy and paste function, and then we're going to see how fill does work, right? So I want to go ahead on the cell that you already have a formula on, and I want to right click on it and choose copy. And then in the cell that contains the total for Robin Hood, make sure it's selected, right click and choose paste. Alright, go ahead and do that for me.
So I can be selected and all get the values.
I don't understand what you mean. They're trying to
scrolling it down to select and
yeah.
The values up there.
Check the formula again and see if the formula change. Alright, so like basically what I mean, make sure you have it selected like this and see if the formula is actually intact.
All of them changed by 1 for the numbers.
Yeah, what to do, eh? Let me see if we can get that. Huh? Say that again?
What the answers?
I don't understand. If you well, let me get some feedback first, right? See if you can go back to total marks for Bob Williams and make sure that formula is exactly as you've seen it over here. That's one. When you finish typing it in, press enter. If you have any other data in the sheet, go ahead and delete it. So like I just go and select that range and press delete. And what I really want you to do now, I use on my keyboard. I'm pressing Control C on my keyboard. I see the cell get this kind of animation showing me that it has been copied, and in the place that I would like for the new formula to go, I'm going to press Control V. Alright? So you should end up with that situation where you see 169.
Yeah.
Alright. So notice, students, that when I select cell that contains the value 169, which represents the total for Robin Hood, I would see that the formula is C5 plus D5 plus E5 plus F5. It didn't use the old cell locations before. Excel smartly knows that when we want to copy and paste, that it should update the formula to match either that particular column or that particular row. Alright, and this is a kind of cool feature. Alright, so that's one way to do it. Alright, now it mightn't be feasible if you have hundreds of formulas to copy. So what you're going to do in a situation like that is use the fill tool. Now this is a part where I want you to pay attention to, and then you will follow along. Similarly, like from our last class, when we tried to create a range of numbers going from 1 to 10 for the questions that we answered, and when we were creating that question column, so to speak, make sure and select just the first cell. Make sure and select the first cell, which will be G1, sorry, my bad, G4. All right, move your mouse arrow to the bottom right hand corner until you get across like that. This is called your fill tool. You click and you hold it and you drag all the way down, and I would see that the formula is smartly copied for each row. Go ahead and do that and verify that the formula is indeed correct for each row.
That's what I'm for the first time.
Okay. Take your time. And remember, right here, if you want me to demonstrate something again, I could always do it. Let me just get audio response from everybody now. Was everyone successful? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
All right, I gained some positive vibrations here. I know sir moving like if well me now, I'm talking about myself in the third person. I know I'm moving a little bit slow, but I just want to make sure that we get all these skills done. All right, I'll improve my speed as we go along in this class itself. All right, so that was one way. All right, an easy way for me to verify is to press Control tilde and just view the formulas that are there. And in case you're wondering how I zoom in and zooming in and zooming out easily, I could use the there's a zoom bar, on the bottom right hand corner over here. You could use that, but I just use holding Control on my keyboard and scrolling my mouse wheel. So if you have a mouse wheel, you can just hold Control on the keyboard and scroll your mouse wheel. Just navigate back to this point here. All right, so let me see if I can pick up some speed. We're going to, and so far we enter formulas, right? Let us see, or let us observe the difference, a different way of using formulas, right? And it's really, if you're going to think about like a Venn diagram, we're going to use a function. A function is a predefined formula that is provided to us by the spreadsheet software. It is predefined. A function in itself is a formula, all right? But we call it a function because it was predefined. It was made by the programmers who made Excel for us. So I want to go ahead and check how I calculated the total marks over there. I want to go ahead and change this, and I only going to change this for total marks only. I want to change this to use a predefined function called sum. All right. So one way to do this, let's go ahead and delete the. One way to do this, now you could use the FFX button over here to look up a function. I'll show that afterwards, but I want to still do it like this, right? So you're going to click inside here, I'm going to type equal sign, and I know the function name is sum, S-U-M. Open brackets, and what I'm going to have to put inside here is a comma separated list of the items that I would like to add. So I could put in that, comma, that, comma, that, comma, that, and get the same result. However, this becomes impractical after a point in time. So I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to type in back the same function, but this time I'm going to specify not a comma separated list, but a range. So sum, open brackets, all right, and it's be a little bit easier if you just click and drag through the entire range, close bracket, and I see that, find the sum of C4 all the way until F4, all right, and I'm going to press enter and end up with a situation like that. See if you could go ahead and do that for me now. Practice that skill. We're only changing the total marks for Bob Williams. We're only changing it to use the function for Bob Williams. We're leaving everything else intact at this point in time. All right, students, I'm going to move forward. If you're not finished, just interrupt me and I could stop and wait on you. All right, so the next thing we might want to do is to find the average of all these items, right? And a good rule of thumb, so if I want to find the average for Bob Williams, I'm probably not going to, I could do it like this. Let me just show it real quick. I'll just scroll across a little bit. Taking myself some space. I could type equal, this plus that, oops, wrong one, plus science mark plus art mark, close bracket there, so I can put it in brackets. And you know, it's 4 items on them, so I know I will have to divide by 4. So I could do it like that, right? Or I could just use what I created before, all right? So I'm not asking you to practice that skill right now. Notice I just put everything that was added in brackets and I put front slash divide by 4, and that's how I was able to get that. But what I really want you to do for me, I want you to use a predefined function and the data that was calculated before. So what you're going to do for me is this. We're going to, into the cell, we're going to type, let's clear it just for the sake of clearing it. For the average for Bob Williams, you're going to type equal sign and just click on the cell before, which is G4, and I want you to put front slash 4, and that will be the average calculated for me. See if you can get that done.
Yes, I get.
Alright, very good. Some of you will notice that, like in this case it's 66.5. Some of you might get more decimal points depending on the data that we have so far. Alright, so we're just going to practice that skill that we knew from before. I just want you to update the rest total marks to use the same sum function, and to do that we're going to use the fill tool. So it's kind of like the overwriting now. I'm not going to clear the data, I'm just going to click on total marks for Bob. What's this guy named? Bob Williams. And I'm going to click and drag down, you know, using my fill tool. And now if I inspect it, I would see that, you know, I'm using the sum function for each row. So I would like for you to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to ask you to do it for average because I want to demonstrate something else. So go ahead and fill total marks such that each row uses the sum function that was copied from cell G4. Alright, I'm moving forward. At this point in time, you know, we use our common sense to find the average. We knew that we was dealing with 4 columns, but sometimes, just like I learned in last class, you might want to insert another subject. And let me see how this is going to affect the formula. I'm just going to right click on this column here and choose insert. And in this case, you know, we used a range, right? C4 to G4. It still is a range C4 to G4. Alright? I just want to type number 100 inside here. Now this is for demonstration purposes. Pretending if I had our next range over here, right? I'm going to see that how the formula is still C4 to G4. So everything okay here. If I type back 0, I'm going to see, oops, my bad. If I'm going to type back 0 for this new subject, this blank subject, I'm going to see that it was 266 before. If I put 100 here, I'm going to see that the formula is being used to automatically update the data in the cells. I run into a little bit of a problem here. Computer actually kind of freezing. Why can't I edit this? Alright, so I run into a little editing issue there. So let's change back to 100. So yeah, alright. If I look at the average, alright, if I try to see the formula for the average, you notice the average is still equal H4 over 4. Are you seeing that? Let me hear all you. That kind of wrong because I add a 5th subject there. So it's always a best practice to use formulas that is facilitate this kind of issue. Alright, I'm going to press Ctrl Z on my keyboard to undo all the actions that I take so far. And this time, I wanted to change the formula from just G4 over 4. I wanted to use the average formula. I'm going to use a different way of entering the formula. So I clear that space over there. I'm going to use a different way to enter that formula. So I make sure I have my cell selected where I want the formula to go. And in this case, I'm going to use a function called average. I'm going to click on the insert function button. Now, if you didn't see it before, you could scroll through. You know, some most recently use all formulas, that kind of stuff. You can even type inside here and press go. So I'm going to type average. You know, it's kind of like a search for a formula. So I'm going to type AVER, and just for the sake of that example, just click go, and I'll see all the formulas that pop up related to average. Well, AVER. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. Alright, so you can double click or press OK. I like to double click. I'm going to wait for people to reach to that point. I'm going to re-demonstrate the skill. What I did, I clicked on the cell that I would like for the average to go for Bob Williams. Then I click on the f of x from the formula bar. It's actually called insert function. I don't see any tooltip over there. And if you've not seen average inside here, you can always browse for it by after choosing all. That can be a little bit tedious, but you can just type AVER. You can even type average if you want, just to kind of search. And then from here, you can double click it. Last time I double clicked, this time I'm going to click OK. And we get a sort of an interface to enter the data that we would like to enter, right? So if we're using this interface, right, I'm going to assume everybody reach here. I'm going to pause for a second. If nobody reached there, I'll wait on them. All right, so right now, I've seen Excel already select a range for me. All right, I'm just going to clear that, and you should clear it too if it's selected. They're asking you to enter a range of numbers or individual numbers to find the average of, right? What you can do, you can click this arrow, and then you just get to go and select a range. So I go and select the range from C4 all the way to F4 by clicking and dragging on it. All right, after I click and drag and I let go, I see that the function arguments in the little preview window here is C4 to F4. I can click the arrow again, and I will see it in my in my interface here for entering the formula. And it does give me a preview of the range of data, and it does give me a preview of what the average is going to look like. So I want you to go ahead and reach until this point, and when you're finished, click on OK. Now that was a few steps. If the need be, let me know and I can demonstrate it again for all you fellas. I'm going to give all you about 15 seconds to see if you can get that skill done. Alright, I assume everybody get done. Without me demonstrating it, or without me speaking about how I'll do it, I would like for you to fill the data for the rest of people. Alright, so not just for Bob Williams, I would like to use your fill tool and fill out the average for everyone. So you should have something looking similar to what I have over here. Now notice the decimal places for the number is 2 decimal places. Usually for us in school, we just use 1 decimal place. Alright, I'd like to fix that number format to use only 1 decimal place. Alright, so what you're going to do, you're going to select the range of data that you want to format with a consistent decimal place. I might have to make my screen a little bit smaller here right now. And then you're going to go ahead and click on, make sure you're on the home tab. And there's a section for number. Let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see there's a section for number where my mouse is right now. Right now it's set to general. It's always a good idea to set it to the data type that you're using. So I'm going to set it to number. And if you're looking at my screen right now, you can see that it's using 2 decimal places for it. I can increase the decimal places by clicking this arrow, or I can decrease it by clicking this arrow. And notice when I'm at this point right now with 2 decimal places, when I reduce it to 1, Excel will automatically round up the data for me. The data itself has not changed. If I use it in a formula, it is going to use the accurate data to calculate using that formula. Alright, if I come back out here, I will see 35.25, which is in the center over here. 35.25 went to 35.3. What I'm saying is how it is still 35.25 in the back. And when used in other formulas, the value 35.25 is going to be used. But as it is displayed with us, it is rounded off and it's displayed to 35.3. So go ahead, select that range, change the format type from general to number, and set the amount of decimal places to just 1. At this point in time, you're going to notice I'm picking up a little bit, picking up some speed here, because we're becoming very accustomed with entering formulas. We're becoming very accustomed with filling data and using the skills that we learned before.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so let me go forward. I had to show you our next function. It's called an if function, right? And for this one, I'm not going to talk through it too much. I'm just going to show it on the screen. and then we could talk about it there. So I'm gonna let people ask me questions if you need be. I don't know if they need gonna be. So entering a formula, I'm gonna type equal. So I want to know that how people pass, right? Whether they pass or fail this course, right? So I'm gonna type equal if. So this is a formula that is going to display two different values based on a logical test. If, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on average, if average, which was H4 in this case, is less than 50, all right, so that's my condition. If logical test, I'm gonna press comma. So the next parameter of my formula is what I would like to display if the average is less than 50. I'll just type inside double quotes. My bad. Let's double click this again. Inside double quotes, let me just put failures. And if that was false, I'd like to put pass. All right, so you're gonna notice this person got a pass. Let's put 0 over here. And if I update the data such that the average falls below 50, it is automatically going to show fail. All right, so let's undo that. And the formula is this: is if, so that's a parameter, right? So equal the formula name if open brackets and then a condition h4 less than 50, then we have fail. If h4 is less than 50, it's going to show fail. Otherwise, it's going to show pass. So please accomplish that for me now. I'll wait about 15 seconds. Alright, so I'm going to assume students already accomplished that skill. I'm going to go ahead and click the fill it for everyone. And I want to demonstrate a common issue that we would experience in Excel when we do something this way. Okay, so everybody should have it filled at this point in time. Let's say for whatever reason, alright, we would like to change the pass mark. Alright, we would have to go and edit all of them, or probably edit our formula. And this becomes cumbersome. Even though we know how to use Excel, if I want to change the pass mark to 75, right? Which is some universities. Some universities have a pass mark of 75. I don't know for a reason. I think it's for tiers. But anyway, if I change it to 75, and so the first one, I know that formula is correct. I could go ahead and drag it down and fill it. Alright? Even though I know the data is correct, this is a little bit cumbersome, because I always have to go and edit the formula, and then somebody else who might be using my document might not be as skilled as me. So I need to make the document a little bit more editable. You're going to notice that I have a summary section over here with the pass mark. Alright? So the pass mark was 50. I'm going to demonstrate two things here. Alright, so it's important that you pay attention to this, because a lot of movement is going to happen in this section. So what I could do, let me just delete the rest of the data just for clarity. So I have my if statement over here. If h4 is less than 70, right? I'm going to take out 70. And I'm going to use the cell. Let me see, that was 50 is stored in the cell C14. I don't know if you're already noticing that. It's in column C and row 14. So if h4 is less than C14, then I can have a situation like that. Alright, so yeah, I still want you to look at my screen. Alright, I'm gonna have a situation like that, and if I change the pass back, I just have to change it here. If I change the pass back to 90, I would see that the person failed. So I just have to change it to one place, and one can imagine if I copy that formula down, I'll get to that situation. But first, before we copy our formula down, I would like for you to make sure that you enter the formula exactly as I have it over here. I'm going to give all about 15 seconds to get that done. Alright, I'm going to move forward, and you're going to, some of you probably do this already. When you copy it down, you're going to notice some strange things, right? you notice that the person who scored 71 failed? Let me hear all the fellas, all you notice that? Like, what about if I change pass back to 50? You notice only one person only one person pass. You notice that the person who scored 42 pass, 42.3 they pass. So you're gonna see that, and if we inspect the formulas, this is gonna be a little bit hard for me to demonstrate. Let me see if I just scroll across here. I'm gonna press F. Sorry. I wonder if I can scroll across more, but I'm trying to get a situation where you can see both the Alright, so if you look at the formula bar, the cell it is correct. If H4 is less than C14, put fail, otherwise put pass, right? But then if I go to the next one, I would see I'm happy with what I'm seeing here, that it's using H5, right? It should use H5. H5 is this one over here, all right? It's using H5, but it's saying if H5 is less than C15. If I click on it, you would see which data is being used for this formula. You would see that for this formula, H5 is being used. However, the passback that is being used has been automatically updated to the next row. Remember we talked about when we copying formulas or we're using the fill tool, Excel smartly updates this data for us. Alright, now this is something that we don't want. Now I'm going to press escape on my keyboard here to come out of the editor of the formula. I'm just going to verify for a random one. For this one I would see that for the person scored, who's that, Brooke? Ken? The check that we made was H7 less than C17. We're happy with H7 being used in the check, but we're not happy with C17. Alright, so what is happening right now, the cells that we are used are relatively addressed. Doesn't mean phrase for it, doesn't mean term for it. This is called relative addressing, meaning that how we're using cell addresses that are relative to each other. In the sense that how when we copy data down, up, across, or whatever it is, Excel is going to make a calculation of how to adjust the formula to the next row or the next column. All right. To prevent that from happening, let me just go back to my formula, make sure it's selected. And know that how I don't want C14 changing. I want it to remain constant. To do that, I don't want that the row changes. I don't mind if the column change for whatever reason. I'm going to put a $sign in front of the ordinate 14. So the row ordinate is 14. I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to notice now if I use the fill tool, on any arbitrary run, it still uses C14. The $sign simply just means that how the column 14, sorry, the row 14 has now been absolutely addressed in our formula. So what I would like for all of us to do is to go ahead and do that. I'm going to give all about 15 seconds to make that update now.